Hola, theaters. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to our first ever live stream. I've had some kind of hiccups and growing pains, but welcome to the Waffle House. It does what it says on the tin. Uh, I wanted it to be a place where I could pretty much waffle about sports, football, life. But we're gonna keep it football for the beginning because you know, it's a football channel. It is, people think it's just an Arsenal channel, and that's why I have the Puerto Rico stuff up. It is going to be a football channel, a general football channel. And eventually, when, we get a little bit of a following, we'll have American football on there as well. But for now, it's just Arsenal, just general football. And yeah, this is the Waffle House. I did prepare a couple things to talk about. What I wanted to talk about to begin with is it's a good night. I mean, our rivals, Tottenham Hotspur, just lost to Newcastle, which is great. They're, if results hold, I think West Ham is beating Man United. If results hold, then, I mean, Tottenham could be 3 points from the drop. And, as much as we banter and as much as, we talk trash, I mean, I would love to see Tottenham go down because I don't think they should be in the Big Six. They talk like they've just won the league. They talk like, they have as many Premier League titles as City do. And, recently, and they just don't. They don't really have anything. They don't have much. And all they have is chess. And I would love for them to go down. But I want to start off with talking about Arsenal because this is an Arsenal channel. And I was gonna do an ammo check, and that'll be a show as well, eventually. But I wanted to talk about, our form, our direction. I mean, a lot of people call me negative because I am just at this point in my journey, I'm just a show me guy. I am a show me that you want to win the title. Show me that you have what it takes to win the title. And, a lot of people are just kind of like, oh, it's like a reset. Like they reset. And I just can't do that. I can't reset as an Arsenal fan because we've been here before. 22, 23. I went to the stadium. I was buying merch. I had books. I had everything. And we didn't get over the line. We didn't get over the line then. So, it hurt because we didn't expect to be there. We didn't expect to be in a position to actually compete. We didn't expect to be in a place, where we were. We had just finished 8th twice and then 5th. That season we were just looking to get into top 4, by any means necessary. And we did more than that. We competed for the title. But honestly, we should have won. And I think that that's also part of the reason why we play the way we do now. I think, as a coach myself, having coached, you get to a point where if you try something and it works, the moment it falls apart, you start doubting and second guessing yourself. And I think that's what happened in the next season. The 23-24 season. I think we should have won that season as well. And we had points lead, and with Arsenal, it's not the big teams I'm worried about. It's the small fries. It's the Southamptons. It's the Leeds. It's the Bournemouths. The Brentfords. That's who I'm worried about. And the season after, we fell away, and people blamed it on injuries. Yeah, we had a lot of injuries. I mean, I think it's 115 now, total injuries in the last 2 years. But as a manager, you have to adapt and overcome. And I don't feel like our manager adapted very well. I mean, look at Ethan Nwaneri and Miles Lewis-Skelly. Last season they were bright spots. MLS can barely get moments, and Nwaneri's in France, Marseille. So yeah, it's a thing where we keep doing the same things, we keep trying the same things and expecting different results. And that's a pessimistic view, and I get that, but we're at the point where our window may be closing. Like our window for winning the title, you usually don't get 4 chances to win the title and fail. And I always like to use American football. The Buffalo Bills, for example, right? They got to 4 straight Super Bowls, didn't win any. And guess what? It will be 20 years before they were even in the playoffs, even for a shot. And I think they still haven't made the Super Bowl after that. And I know the sports are different, but it's that same thing. It's that, you're trying to get to a point where you get over the line. And if you don't get over the line, that window shuts. And Man City is a team we already know. Everyone says 115. Everybody says they've got state back money, but they also have one of the best coaches in football, and they're not gonna sit down and just not win anything. Pep's not that kind of guy. And even if Pep does leave, Man City have the money, they have the resources, they have the backing to go get an Enrique and Ancelotti to get something to replace. Because if you look at Pep Guardiola, who did they have? Pellegrini. Pellegrini won the league. And then they said, yeah, you did a great job, but we need something bigger, we need something better, Pep Guardiola. And I just don't think that Arsenal as a club are the type of club that are going to be like that. I don't think we're the type of club that, if we don't make it, Mikel Arteta, leaves, I don't think we're just going to splurge money on the next big manager. And with managers, you're kind of saying how that works out. I mean, look at Chelsea. They've gone from Jose Mourinho and Conte to Rosinha, and it's very hit or miss when it comes to the coaches. And I think that's also part of the reason that at the point we are now, there's a divide. There's a little bit of a divide in the club, and everyone has seen it. The Arteta's in, the Arteta's out, and going back to what I was saying about the patterns. Yes, we were fifth, and then we were second. What, 3 times now? If we don't get over the line, that's stagnation. That's what it is. And I think a lot of people's fear when it comes to the manager and the regime change is what happens if we get rid of Mikel Arteta or Mikel Arteta leaves, and who do we get in? That's always a question that people ask. Who do we get in to get over the line? And this is a question. It's an answer that we don't really know. We could say we want Enrique. We could say we want Simeone, but when Arsene Wenger left, we could have said we wanted those people then. And who did we go for? We went for Unai Emery. And Unai Emery wasn't given the time and the resources that this manager was, because ultimately, in my opinion, I don't think he was a choice. I think that our club is ran PR facing, and I think that if they had given Mikel Arteta the job after Wenger, you wouldn't have this backing that you have. You wouldn't have the kind of coddling and things that you get. So yeah, you wouldn't have the kind of, I don't even know what to call it, just because it's not really coddling. It's almost like a cult like following for a manager that ultimately hasn't won anything. So he, big up to Jay the Short Man for watching. But you're calling into a manager that ultimately hasn't won anything, and I'm not the type of person that is gonna say, look, if he wins something, I still want him gone. I'm not. I want Arsenal to win. Arsenal over everything. And I think that we're now reaching a point with the whole Mikel Arteta in and Mikel Arteta out thing where trophies mean everything. Like how successful we are. Because we're looking, as I said, with the low that we're having, Man City don't look great. You see it tonight. Aston Villa don't look great. Who else is there and thereabouts? Man United are losing to West Ham at the moment. Like, the title should be ours. From how everyone is going, the title should be ours. But then again, Man City play. I think they play tomorrow night. If they win, they're 3 points behind. How do we react to that? And I think that, a lot of fans will say, we're still top of the table, Mickey. You're being negative. We're still top of the table. We're still top in the Champions League. We're in a League Cup final. We're still in the FA Cup. We're top of the league. And that's great. I hear that. And I love that. Like, I'm a dopamine guy. I'm a Donna dopamine. I love it. But at the end of the day, we've been here before. We've been here in the 22-23 season. We were here the season after. And I wouldn't say the season after, because that Liverpool season, I think we should have won the league, in my opinion. And I just think that we played just anti-football to the point where we basically handed Liverpool the league. Because I think if we had just changed our system and gone for a little bit more games instead of, like we saw with the Liverpool draw this season, if we had just gone for games, then I think we would have won. I think, we had what 14 draws, and 10 of those were from winning positions. If you turn that around, that's 20 extra points. Win the league. We're having a different conversation. So ultimately, I wouldn't say we bottled that one. I just think how things were handled weren't great. Um, as far as that, but yeah, the general feeling around the club, as I said, I still think that we need to win the league. I can't think of any. The Champions League is a great dream. The Champions League, it's ultimately it's the thing that every Arsenal fan want because it's the only thing we haven't won, and it's the only thing that rival fans hold up. Your Man United fans, you've never won the Champions League. Chelsea, you've never won the Champions League. Even Man City now, you've never won the Champions League. Liverpool, of course, you never won the Champions League, and it's getting to a point where it's kind of like, man, like we really want to win, and we probably should have won it, but as how I am now, it doesn't seem as realistic to me as winning the Carabao Cup, which I definitely think we could win, and winning the league. If we win the league and the Carabao Cup, hats off to Mikel Arteta. I'm there. I'm excited. I feel the energy. But if we don't, then it could get very toxic. And I think it could get very, how do you say, Wenger toxic. I think that if we don't win, it'll be, well, we've wasted our best window. And if we do win, everybody be happy. I'll go to a trophy parade. So yeah, that's just my general, tangent. And this is why it's called the Waffle House, because I will just waffle. But, there is a point at the end of it. But I think the place that we are now, I think we're in a very good position to win the league. I think we're in a very good position to win the Carabao Cup. The FA Cup, someone's going to go out in the next round. We're playing Wigan. I think, we should rotate and see them out and then see what happens. And the Champions League, can't even think about. Honestly, in the Champions League, even though I said it's kind of the least realistic of our trophies, I've seen some of those teams in Europe, and they don't look great either. The Bayerns and the PSGs don't look as great. Real Madrid, I don't know what Real Madrid are going through. I mean, they sacked Xabi Alonso, and they're all over the joint as well. So, do I think that we could be thereabouts? Yes, but it's something that is not even in my mind because it doesn't seem obtainable at this moment. Like, maybe in a month and a half, it'll seem different. But right now, it just doesn't seem attainable as far as where we are now. Right now, the Prem seems attainable. We got, 12, 13 games left. And I honestly think with the Prem, if we get a 9-10 point lead, I think it's over. I think that because we're good front runners. So I think we get a 9-10 point lead, no games in hand, none of that. Just up and down 9-10 point lead. I think the league is over. And I think that, everyone who's watching, we're going to a trophy parade. But the most winnable thing right now is the Carabao Cup. And I want to win it. Like, I hear people say, some people are just talking about, it's a Mickey Mouse Cup. And it's like, being American and being in American sports, you like the Super Bowl, you only get one cup. The NBA championship, you only get one opportunity at it. And if you don't win, I've been waiting on my team to win it for 25 years. And we only have one chance. So for me, winning a cup, when I started watching Prem ball, I just thought everyone was going for the Prem. I didn't know about the Champions League. I didn't know about the League Cups. Like, you have an opportunity to win a trophy. So for me, I value every trophy. Even, if they take a lap around the stadium and that's the parade, like, I'll value that trophy. Because growing up as an American, you don't see a lot of trophy opportunities. You don't see a lot of opportunities to win. So I want the Carabao Cup. I want the FA Cup. I love the FA Cup. When we won the FA Cup, I was over the moon. Because we won a trophy. Like, it didn't, everybody could talk trash, but did your team win a trophy? And for the last 5 years, as successful as Mikel Arteta has been, and I will say that, I think we have been successful. I think he's reached a point where he has made us more competitive. But you have to win now. You can't just keep saying we're looking good. You can't just keep saying we're doing better. You can't just keep saying, look at this metric. We're top at XG. we've got the best defense. It doesn't matter. In 10, 20 years, no one will care who got the most clean sheets. No one will care. Yeah, we're still talking about Chelsea, the 15 goal defensive record, but we can't get that. So at this point, if you can't get that, you don't win anything. All people can say was it was a great team. And trust me, coming from American sports, I'm a Miami Dolphins fan, Miami Hurricanes fan. Coming from American sports, I've seen the Dolphins have great teams. But guess what? At the end of the day, we didn't win anything. It was a great day out. It was a great season that ended in disappointment. And so far, honestly, in my opinion, we've had 3 of those under Mikel Arteta, and I don't think he can survive a 4th. I don't think he can survive a 4th. So, yeah, that's my general thoughts on the Arsenal, where we are now. I'm very happy where we are. I'm happy on our results. We need to beat Brentford. Looking ahead, our next match is Brentford. And, regardless of what Man City do, we need to go to Brentford. We need to get a win. And it's one of those matches, Brentford are actually punching above their weight this season. And it's one of those matches that definitely has potential to be a banana skin. It's one of those matches that we could definitely drop points in. But honestly, and I will say this season feels different. We played Villa the second time. We should have beat Villa the first time, to be fair. But we played Villa the second time. A lot of people were nervous, and we won. Ellen Road. A lot of people were saying, "Oh, it's Leeds. You play tough there. We smashed them." We're playing a lot better. Which brings me to my next topic, because this is also something that I've seen. It's something that the bus drivers and stuff talk to me about. Martin Odegaard. We seem to play better, and maybe that's a little bit harsh saying we play better out. But I mean, you can't take away the fact that he's been out 2 games and we scored 7 goals and conceded 0. And that might just be an upturn in our form, but I've seen a lot of matches this season where when Martin Odegaard's not on the pitch, we seem to be more open, we seem to be more decisive, and I like Martin Odegaard. And I say this to people, I like Martin Odegaard. I was gassed when we got him. But me liking a player and him being popular should have no bearing on us winning. And I think that's just my mentality with everything. It doesn't matter if, we love him, we're singing his name. I want to win. I want to win. And if that means that our best player or, our leader, our captain, has to sit on the bench to do it, then that's got to be done. And I think that's the thing that you have to do as a manager. You have to kind of look at the team. You have to look at yourself and say, do I have the guts to say, guess what, guys? Martin's our captain, but you're out of form. You're not playing well. The team doesn't look good with you in it at the moment. Sit on the bench. And I think, and to be fair to Martin, when he came on in the second half, he looked better. I don't know if that's because he's just gassed, he's tired, or he's nursing an injury, but he looked a lot more comfortable coming off the bench. He looked a lot more comfortable. We saw him take a couple shots. We saw the ball get forward. And sometimes, as a coach, you have to make those tough decisions and say, you're coming off the bench, but you can give us a spark. And that's the thing with, funny enough, Trossard and Martinelli. We saw it in the Champions League. Martinelli didn't start. Trossard warmed down. He gets his little flicks in. Martinelli comes, second half, fresh legs, run past him, goal. Saw with Gyökeres. Gyökeres sits on the bench. Jesus starts. He runs him ragged. Gyökeres comes on the pitch, scores a goal. And maybe that might be Martin Odegaard's role. Now, I've been a captain of a team. I've been, I wouldn't say I was the best player, but I've been a solid player. And sometimes when you're gassed, when you're tired, when you're not in form, you as the leader have to say, you know what, I'm taking myself out for the betterment of the team. Boss, I get it. I'm not in good form. I'm not playing well. Everybody wants to be a competitor. You want to be a competitor. You want to be on the field. But if you love your team, if you love your squad, and I've done it before, I'm like, I'll stand on the sideline. I'll play the fourth quarter. My legs are gone. But I can give you The fourth quarter, I can give you everything I got for the fourth quarter. But we're in the middle of the third. I'm gassed. I'm winded. I'm getting, they're running at me. I'm tired. You gotta be honest. I can help my team by sitting on the bench. Let the fresh legs keep it close, and then I'll come in, do what I need to do for a quarter, and we win the game. And that's if he's an actual leader. Odegaard, I'm talking about, and the manager as well. If he's an actual leader, then he will say, we need to do what's best for the club. We need to do what's best for the team, and I need to see myself on the bench. That's it. That's it. That's what any good player, what any good leader would do, is just take a step back. Because, I mean, if you're looking at the matches, Declan Rice has been basically the captain in Odegaard's absence. We saw Gabriel with the armband, and yes, Gabriel, does shout a bit, but I've seen this discussion, and I think it was on Rich's channel. He was talking about it, with the captaincy, and Tony Adams talking about the captaincy. And a lot of people, because growing up, I'm a 90s baby, so a lot of us growing up playing sports, your captain was that vocal guy, get into them, hey, you need to do this, hey, and that's what kind of captains, Tony Adams was. He'd give you a bollocking if you didn't do, the right thing. But I think in 2025, the way sports are, you just don't get that anymore. Like, you see people hugging in the tunnel. Like, even me, I play an amateur sport. I ain't hugging my rivals in the tunnel. And I've played against my friends on the rival team. I'm not dapping you up. I'm not shaking your hand before the game because I'm here to beat you. Now, after the game, yeah, once everything is done, the smoke is cleared, if you win, I'll shake your hand. If, I win, I'll still shake your hand. Like, but before battle, I ain't hugging you. And I feel like the culture now, you don't actually, there's not that Man United Arsenal war culture where it's like, I ain't even looking at you. Or I am looking at you and I'm me mugging. Like, that's not a thing anymore. And those kind of captains don't lead. But Odegaard, to me, doesn't seem like, you either shout or lead by example. And right now he ain't doing either. Like, he's not really that model example of someone I would follow on the football field. And that's just being honest. But I look at Declan Rice, and when I have these conversations with people about our captains, I look at Declan Rice and I talk about Real Madrid, right? And I think it's perfect Real Madrid, and it shows a little bit about maybe the captain potential that Saka has as well. But I honestly don't think Saka should be captain because I don't know. I just don't like my attackers being captain anyway. But when it comes to like the Real Madrid game, the coach is telling Declan to cross it into the box. And we all know what I'm talking about, the free kick. He's telling him cross into the box. And he's shouting, cross, cross, cross. And Declan looks there and he says, why? That doesn't make sense to me. Like, I think I can have a shot. And, Odegaard's telling him, cross the ball, cross the ball. And Saka's like, bro, do what you feel. And Declan taking on himself, I'm going to take the shot. If I miss it, it's on me. I missed it. But if I make it, which he did, then he goes down in, folklore. He goes down in cult status. For everyone still thinks about those free kicks. And I think that sometimes leaders need to do that. You can't listen to the coach. The coach isn't on the field. He isn't on the pitch. He's not out there. He doesn't see what you see. He's got a view where he's seeing this, but he's not in front of you seeing what you see. And I think Odegaard, if Declan Rice wasn't there, Odegaard crossed that in, we probably don't get that goal. But Rice has the guts. He has the leadership to say, I'll take it. I'll take whatever comes. Second time, does the same. And I think that's the difference. You don't need to be shouty, but you need to lead by example. And when Arsenal needed someone, when Arsenal needed something, Declan Rice was there. Gabriel's the same. Gabriel scores a lot of goals as a defender. Like, he scores a lot of goals as a defender. So, yeah, it's just, for me, it's not that Odegaard isn't the captain because I think he's soft. Like, I don't think that's really, I don't really think that's fair. He's a footballer at the end of the day. And yeah, sometimes he does have soft moments. But I've seen Odegaard, and I follow Odegaard, when we went to Real Madrid. He was a very technical and skilled player. But, playing in Spain is a little bit different than playing in the Prem. And to be a captain in the Prem, you have to have some skill about you. You do have to have some skill about you. And I think in certain moments you can see Martin Odegaard's quality, but just not enough for me to be the captain of Arsenal Football Club. And I think the armband at this point is part of what's holding him back. He had the injury, you know, people were giving him excuses that he had a baby. He ain't doing the feeds. He ain't doing the night feeds. He's, he ain't pushed the baby out. Yes, it's stressful, but you're not doing as much work as the missus. So yeah, you can miss me with that one. But I think the best thing for Martin Odegaard as far as the captaincy, I think the best thing is to take it off of him. And I wouldn't do it, and people say, oh, how do you take it off him? How would the team react? Like I said before, if you're captain material, if you're the leader you say you are, you look at Leah Williamson, for example, right? The women's team. She gave up the captaincy because she said, I'm not fit to be the captain right now. But every time you see them lift a trophy, every time you see the captain and you see Leah Williamson, because she's still the leader. But she had the wherewithal. She had the mental fortitude to say, I'm not what's good for the club right now. Yes, I'm the captain. Yes, I've been the captain. It's prestigious being the captain of Arsenal Football Club. But I don't have what it takes at this moment to lead Arsenal Football Club. And I think Martin Odegaard, at some point, probably needs to do the same thing. Just say, you know what, at this moment, I don't have what it takes. I think I'm a good player. I think that I have a lot to give the team. Because I think Martin Odegaard still has a lot to give to the team. I think his technical ability, he still has a lot to give to the team. But at this point, he's more of a detriment than a help. And I think taking the armband off him, taking that off of his shoulders, giving it to Gabrielle. You don't even got to give it to Declan Rice. Give it to Gabrielle, someone who's the vice captain, and just allow Martin Odegaard to come off the bench, allow him to play. I guarantee you we will see a different Martin Odegaard. I guarantee you we will see that player that we had in 22-23. I guarantee you that we will win things. But I just don't think, I think it's just too much of a burden on Martin Odegaard at the moment. And yeah, I would just like that to be removed, and I would like the manager to do it and just take some of that pressure off of him. So that's the captaincy bit. And I think the last thing I wanted to talk about, as you guys can see, I've got all this Puerto Rico merch on. And I said this was the Waffle, and I said we would talk about football. So I'm going over to American football. And I want to talk about the halftime show because a lot of people have had opinions on the halftime show. And, I'm a bit biased. I'm Puerto Rican descent, so I'm actually half Puerto Rican. But I grew up in a Puerto Rican household. And a lot of people talk about, how AJ, big up AJ, 22-23 Odegaard is not in there. And that's true. That's true. We'll go back to Odegaard. We'll talk. I'll go back and I'll talk about the halftime show in a minute. But I want to talk about it. So, yes, I agree with you. I agree with you, AJ, that player we saw in 22-23 is not going to come back. That's fair. And I think the same thing is true with Bukayo Saka. I think that player we saw before the hamstring tears, you can say the same thing about Kai Havertz. The hamstring tears, big injuries, bad form. Sometimes they take a lot to get out of. He's older. He's slower. But I still think that there's some quality in Martin Odegaard. And I don't know if that's the optimist in me. I don't know if that's just the hopium. But I think that, yeah, he's not going to be 22-23. But I think he can give you something. I think he can give you... Even if he gave us... At this point, we don't have anyone even close to 10 goals at the moment in the league. Own goals was fighting Gyökeres. Even if Martin Odegaard gave us 7 goals from now to the end of the season, right? Gave us not even 7. Gave us 5 goals, and let's say we've got 10 games left. 5 goals, 5 assists. If he gave us that, I think that would help us to win the league. We're not even getting that. Like, I can't remember the last time Martin Odegaard, and I don't want to slate him. I can't remember the last time that in a big game we needed a goal, we needed an assist, we needed some magic. He made it happen. So I agree with you. I don't think we're gonna go back to the 22-23, but I believe that if we're asking for moments, because it's the same thing with Eze. It's the same thing with Eze. And Eze's issue is kind of, I don't think he's going to get up to speed now in the system at the moment. I think he needs time to bed in, and I think he doesn't look the same player that we saw at Crystal Palace. System's different. He's adjusting. Fine. But I think that both of those players will have moments. Both of those players will have opportunities where they can win us a game. And I think, a lot of people will trust Eberechi Eze more than Martin Odegaard. But honestly, I think there's still moments that Martin Odegaard can make something happen. And I don't know if that's hope. I don't know if that's dopamine. But it is what it is with Martin Odegaard, man. I think he can give. Now, in a dystopian world, in everything, everything. If I'm the manager, if we win the league, you sell Martin Odegaard, right? If we win the league, you sell Martin Odegaard for that exact reason. You're not going to get the player you can get, and that's a problem Arsenal have always had. We never actually sell high. If Martin Odegaard, we see these armpits, right, in May, June, then yeah, we see the I'm reading the comments. We see, the armpits in May. In June, July, Martin Odegaard should go to the highest bidder. That's just my opinion, right? Because I don't think he's going to get better. I don't think, like AJ said, I don't think he's going to return to that form. So if we win, he's going. And I think even if we don't win, yeah, maybe we should think about upgrading him. And I think I was watching Curtis, and he said kind of the same thing. If we win the league, we shouldn't be at a point where we're keeping these players. I think Jesus should go. I think that, honestly, I think Havertz should go. Nani's not going because we just got him, so we're going to have him. I think both our left wingers should go. I think Trossard and Martinelli should go. We definitely need a different left winger. But yeah, I think that we should sell high if we do win the league. Jay the Short Man said Odegaard can, but Arteta's limited in his play. Plus, he can't even keep the ball now. And that was a crazy stat. That someone I saw that someone said that Odegaard actually doesn't keep the ball and he's lost it a lot. And I just remember a lot of Gunners saying that, oh, Odegaard's best thing is he keeps possession and he leads the press. So if you can't hold on to the ball, then basically you're just leading the press, and you're paying him that money. You're the captain, and I'm paying you to just run around and lead the press. And like I said, I was trying to be fair to Odegaard, but we all saw with that Aston Villa game where he's dancing around in the box, doing the hokey pokey. So he ain't really putting his body on the line as well. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. But like I said, I think if he sits on the bench for a little bit, I think that he might get enough form to see us through the season. Because let's be honest, Chad. Like, we just need to win. What we got? 12 games left. I think if we win 6 or 7 of those, and we draw the rest, I think that's good enough to win the league, to be honest. And we don't need Martin Odegaard to be great for. We're approaching the final third of the season. We just need him to be something for the final third. Same thing with Kai Havertz. Same thing with Gyökeres. Same thing with Nani Madueke. We just need you to not be crap for the final third of the season. And then we talk about winning the league. Right? So Rick Jar says, the Waffle House with the laughing emoji. Yeah, man, that's just me. I like waffling. I don't know. I came up with it. Because, yeah, my mate, he said, you're always waffling. And I said, Waffle House is American, so guess what? I'm going to serve you guys up some waffles. And then he also said, sell Odie and buy Rodgers. And, yeah, I've heard this as well. Morgan Rodgers buying him. He's going to cost us a pretty penny, though. They're not going to let... First off, Villa are in a title race. I put that in quotations because they're not really. But If Unai Emery is still in charge, I just don't see him selling one of his best players to us. Um, and if he does sell one of his best players, he's going to charge us more than we paid for Declan Rice. And then that comes back to what I said at the beginning of the live. Will will we give that money to Mikel Arteta if he doesn't win the league? Will the Cronkies say, listen, you finished second 4 times in a row. Here's another 100 million to buy a player. I don't see it happening. I wouldn't. I wouldn't give you my money to, that's like someone coming onto the street and asking you for $5 and they just keep asking and you see them waste the $5 and they come back to you and just like, hey man, can I have $5 more? Nah, man, I'm keeping my money. I keep seeing you waste it. Like you throwing it in strippers. Like, no, I'm keeping my money. And that's how I think the Cronkies are like. I think they've given them money, they've given them backing. We got rid of Edu. We got rid of Aubameyang. They were high-fiving Aubameyang. Let's not even get started on that. I watched the documentary, and yeah, I see the PR, and I see how great and cuddly it made us feel. But the fact that you high-five giving away your Golden Boot winner for free when he still had some years left in him, yeah, I can't forgive him for that. Like, imagine giving away Thierry Henry for free. Yeah, he left, but imagine just saying, "Hey, Thierry Henry's in his prime. Hey, here you go. We'll just give him to the highest bidder, and then we'll high five. Hey, are we gonna replace him? Nah, let's not worry about that. Like, nah, man. I never understood it, and Arsenal's a selling club aren't that great. So, yeah, we would have to sell to buy Rodgers, and even if you sell Odegaard, how much you getting? How much you getting for Odegaard? I would try to get 40 million, but Arsenal. I think our highest is still. I'll say Chamberlain was at 35, or no? Is it Is it a Wobie? It might be a Wobie. It's one of them. But I still think it's like 35, 37. Like, I would sell Martin Odegaard for 40, but we probably end up selling him for 10 million and a packet of crisps because that's how we sell. Yeah. So Rick Jar, I just do not see us going anywhere near Morgan Rogers. I just don't think we have the money, but I do see a Manchester team going after him because Manchester United are known to spend money, and yeah, Manchester City we definitely don't have money. So yeah, I don't think it's realistic that we will actually. I don't think it's realistic that we'll get Morgan Rogers, to be honest. So yeah, thanks for commenting. If you got any more, pop them in there. But yeah. So as I was saying, we was talking about the Super Bowl, and yeah, man, I've heard a lot of positive things. And as a Puerto Rican, especially being in a country that doesn't have a very heavy Hispanic population, so if you're new here, you haven't watched me before, I am from Miami, Florida, and yeah, I moved to England for university, and I decided to stay. So I'm here, and yeah, it's been a journey. It's been great. I've met a lot of people, but being in a place where is a definite culture change, and I think that's what Florida is. Not Florida. That's what the UK is. Definitely a culture change coming from Florida, coming from the melting pot to coming to the UK, and I think it's a lot different. So, but seeing how British people, for the most part, have responded to a culture that they don't understand, you know, yeah, we're close to Spain, but Spanish culture and Puerto Rican culture are similar but not the same. And kind of how Puerto Ricans live and how we live in Miami and New York, Puerto Ricans all over the world, to see people that don't speak Spanish, that don't, can't relate, say that it was beautiful, say that they keep watching it. I think to me is a big thing. I think it's an amazing thing, and as a content creator, if you will, of I do Arsenal, and being here and seeing the love that people have for my culture, seeing the support that people have for me as a Puerto Rican, as an American, as a person who I don't have history in this country. I didn't know anybody when I got here. It's just big. It's big to see that, to see the support and stuff. And then on the other side, you see the people that are, I didn't like the halftime show, which is fine. It's not for everybody. I don't like watching Taylor Swift. It's not my cup of tea. But if she had a performance, I would watch, and I'd say, oh, I like this and I like that. But the fact that people are just, there's some people who are just like, oh, I don't watch it because it's not American. Because he's not speaking English. I don't know if people know. And if you are British and you're in my channel, you don't know about America. We have so many cultures, man. We have, black, Asian, white, Caribbean. You've got Native. You've got so many cultures and melting pots. And to see, especially Americans, man, come on there and say he's not American. I just want educational purposes as well. In case British people are watching, they don't know. Puerto Rico is actually part of America. It's a colony. It's no different than the British Virgin Islands. Like, yeah, it's not Britain proper, but there is connection. And Puerto Ricans pay tax to the U.S. Puerto Ricans, fight for our country. They're not allowed to vote. They don't have voting representation in Congress. And yeah, to see people say they're not American when they, Puerto Ricans are people that have given so much to America, and that have, provided so much for not just America, now the world. 57 million people have looked at that video on YouTube since I was just in there watching it. So, it's big, and it resonates with people. So to say that, it's not American, or, it's not great, or I hated it because, it was in Spanish, it's sad to see, man. But I think that for being around social media, and most of what I've seen is positive, and yeah, it's great to see the amount of love and support that people have given me. I didn't perform, but people are just like, I love because I'm proud about being Puerto Rican. Every Puerto Rican is proud about being Puerto Rican. We will tell you, I got a Puerto Rican flag in my car, obviously merch galore, like my socks Puerto Rican, like we'll tell you. And to see people say, man, I love your culture, like, can you explain this to me? Can you tell me what this was? Like, what's the significance? I read about it, but what's your experience? Like, that for me is the big thing. And that's what it is. And it's the same thing with British culture. I've got British friends, and they've shown me the full English. I've had black pudding. I've had a carvery on a Sunday. I've had the things that steak and nail pie. I've had the things that British people love, and that's how I am. Like, and that's how most Puerto Ricans are. We like culture. We like being loving people. We like spreading the love, the joy, the togetherness, and because that's how I was raised. My grandparents did for the community, and the community did for us. So yeah, I thought it was a great thing, and that's my 2 cents on the Super Bowl. We got another comment from Southside Slot Out. I'm gonna touch on that one as well. And then I'm gonna go. I don't know how long I've been on this joint. Probably about 40 minutes. So yeah, let's talk about. I'll talk about Slot. So last year, bro, Slot is like, it's like Two-Face, man. Last year I was saying, bro, this guy. I mean, I don't think Liverpool were playing great, but he did enough to win. He did enough to win the league. Like, so regardless of how we think he was doing, he did enough to win the league. And this season, it's falling apart. And when I think about that, it's kind of twofold because they bought Verts and they bought Ekatike, and people were kind of questioning, like, were these his signings? Did he want them? Because Verts, Isak, like, you bought Ekitike. Why buy Isak on top of that? When you probably need a defender because Virgil's getting up there. You were going for Gahey, who ends up going to Man City, which definitely has to be a blow for Liverpool. You desperately need a defender, and then your defender ends up going to your rivals. It's not pleasant. It's not pleasant. So, yeah, it can't be. It can't be great. It can't be great to watch. A player that you wanted, you actually went for, go to your rivals. But as far as I know, because I have Liverpool friends as well. As far as I know, a lot of them want Slot out, and Liverpool. Bless up, Cooper. Uh, Liverpool are a very emotionally based team. Um, you know, if you look at the history of Liverpool, with the Hillsborough disaster, Diego Jota untimely demise, like Liverpool are very community and they're very into their fans and their community. And I think as a manager, when you're a manager, you have to embody that as well. Like you have to be one with the Liverpool community. You have to be, you look at Brendan Rodgers, and I think that's ultimately why they ran Brendan Rodgers out because he had lost something. Like, and I spoke to Liverpool fans because we talked about Arteta and filling, and they know, like Liverpool fans know when it's time to go. And I think for Liverpool, just objectively as possible, I think Klopp leaving was a blow to them. I think Klopp leaving was a blow to them because if I'm a Liverpool fan, maybe 3 years ago, I'm thinking Klopp's here. Maybe he'll outlast Guardiola, and we'll start winning the league because Klopp's playing good football. They win the Champions Leagues. They're winning the league. Excuse me. And you're sitting there, and it's like great. And then he's just kind of like, all right, I've done all I can do, and I'm out. And then you're kind of like in limbo, and you get Slot. Slot ends up winning, and you're on top of the world. But yeah, you're on top of the world. But man, like it doesn't feel the same. Like it doesn't feel the same to Liverpool fans, and because that's what one of them is a bus driver, and it's kind of the same kind of deal. Like it doesn't feel the same. They don't like the football, and honestly, you know what I think it is. Like thinking about it, you know what I think it is, right? this is the best way that I could kind of put it into quantifiable thing, right? So let's say, I've been married 10 years and then things don't work out. We get a divorce, right? And then I go get the next thing. And right, I go get this next woman. I've been trying, for this other woman. And I go get this next thing, the rebound or whatever. And then I turn and I see a girl that I used to know and we were friends. And I'm like, man, I wonder if it'll work out. But I'm already with this girl and I've already, committed to her. I think that's what it is. And I say that and you probably just like, what the hell is he talking about? Right? Xabi Alonso. That's what I'm talking about. That I think that for Liverpool fans, I think that Slot won the league and they're like, oh great, Slot won the league. But now the football is kind of meh. Like it's kind of rocky. Your relationship kind of rocky. And you see Xabi Alonso, you're like, man, he used to play for us. Man, you went, unbeaten Leverkusen. And yeah, it didn't work out Real Madrid, but we all know how toxic Real Madrid are. We know Real Madrid, that toxic boyfriend. Why don't you come back home? Why don't we be friends and we date a little bit and we see what happens? And that's exactly what I think is happening with Liverpool at the moment. Like from the outside looking in. I'm not a Liverpool fan. I can only talk about Arsenal. But that's kind of what it looks like speaking to Liverpool fans. And I've asked a Liverpool fan. And even they think like, yeah, it's being set up for Xabi Alonso. And I think that's what it is. I think that with the way Liverpool are, as I said, being a culture club, being a club of feeling, what better story would you have than someone who played for you, I mean, it's the story that we tried to get with Mikel Arteta, but that's another thing. Like someone who played for you, who was there in your lowest times, coming back and delivering a title. You've seen him do it in Germany. You've seen him play. I think he played decent football for Real Madrid, but we know what you're gonna get Real Madrid. You can't actually be a manager at Real Madrid. You're pretty much a player wrangler. Like you're a PE teacher. You just kind of hopefully you tell them what activities they should be doing and hope that they listen. When it comes to Real Madrid, so yeah, it's just it was always going to be a poison chalice, and I think that as any manager, when it comes to Alonso, if you want to see if you can make it, yeah, you're going to go to Real Madrid. If you want to see, hey, I want to see if I can win something with the biggest club in the world, and he tried and he didn't, and that's perfectly fine. Now come back home to Liverpool, and you might win the league, you might win an FA Cup, you know, you might win the Carabao Cup. I mean, and let's be honest, Liverpool and in Europe, they're giants. They're giants in Europe. So you come back home, Jobby, you win the Champions League, and you'll be a hero amongst Liverpool fans. And I think that's what's being set up. So I get the whole slot out thing, and I don't, are they being a little petulant? Yeah, probably, because I'm begging for a trophy. I'm begging for the Premier. You guys just won it and the Champions League. In the last 10 years, I've been an Arsenal fan for 10 years, and all I got is the FA Cup. I ain't even got the League Cup. That's what I want. I want something. Cooper's back, and he said, "As Arsenal fan, we know every emotion." Listen, Arsenal are the reason I can't watch American football. I want to let you guys know that my wife, the missus, she told me that you can only pick one struggle. And with the Miami Dolphins being as trash as they are, and us living in England, I picked Arsenal, because I love Arsenal, man. Ever since I walked into that stadium that first time in 2015, 2015, 2016, I knew that this was the club for me. I knew that win, lose, or draw, I was gonna follow. And it's weird. And this is the last bit, and then I'll go. Because now I'm really just waffling. But when I became an Arsenal fan, being from America, I didn't know a lot about Prem ball. I didn't know a lot about Arsenal as an institution. I knew Thierry Henry from the World Cup. You see guys like Dennis Bergkamp. But I wasn't. I didn't know a lot about Arsenal. I didn't know the history of the club or whatnot. And I lived in Spain for a little bit. I followed Sevilla, and that was probably the first club that I actually followed. Um, yeah, that was the first. That was the first club that I followed, when I lived in Spain. And then my friend was like, "Man, if you think La Liga's great, you should watch the Prem." I don't know how we made that jump, but yeah, and I watched the Prem for a little bit. And then my wife, funny enough, is the one who was the Arsenal fan first. I had trouble picking the team, so I shopped around, and um, I shopped around a little bit, you know, because I wanted to see what felt right, and that's how I am with life. I don't want it to just jump into anything blindfolded. So I wanted a club that embodied what I thought, I stand for. And yeah, man, I went to Arsenal, started watching a couple matches, and I went to the stadium, and it's crazy because a lot of people, the story that they tell me is kind of what they tell me with Highbury. But I got that walking through the Emirates. I walked through the Emirates, and those days you could walk through like the player entrance and everything, and you could do a lot more because it was still Arsene Wenger. You could like see his office and everything, all the stuff he had up, and just walking in there and seeing the aura. You know, they used to have in the tunnel. Now it's just red, but they used to have the players in kit, and then you see, Arsene Wenger, and you sit in his chair, and this is the chair that Arsene Wenger sat in, and like this is the gold trophy from the Invincibles, and this is the double, and like I was like, this is beautiful. And then one of the stewards was kind of like, "Hey man, if you think this is nice, go around the corner." I was like, "What's around the corner?" He's like, "Don't worry, just go around the corner, hit Avenue Road. You'll know it when you see it." And when I walked down there, man, I saw the facade of Hybrid, and I was like, I understand. I understand. You know, being a Hurricanes fan, we had being a Hurricanes fan, we had the historic home, which was the Orange Bowl in Miami. It was near downtown Miami. The end was open. You could see the skyline, um, and it was a beautiful thing, man. It was beautiful to watch football there, and we won national championship. And it's funny. It's funny because we were in the national championship game when Arsenal went invincible, and after that, after this year is the first year in all that time that we've gone back to the national championship, which is part of the reason why I think Arsenal are going to win the league. But yeah, we had that stadium for a long time. It was our ancestral home. We won so much in it, and then they tore it down. They moved. They said, the same kind of thing they say with Hybrid. We're too big. The infrastructure is not great on it. Like we need to expand, and they moved the University of Miami. I think it's 30 miles, 30 45 miles, 30 40 miles away. It's not even in downtown. It's on the borderline of Miami-Dade County into the Miami Dolphins Stadium. And as I said, we're just getting back to it. We've just gotten back to being in the national championship game. And even though Arsenal only moved, I mean, what, 3 minutes away from Highbury, I'll get to your comment in a minute, Cooper. I got you. Even though we're 3 minutes away from Highbury, you lose a little bit of that soul. You lose a little bit of the thing that made you magical. And until you win something, you don't get that back. Like it's so hard to get back. But if you win in Emirates, if you win us the Champions League, if you win us the Prem, then it changes. It changes how people feel about the club. It changes the history of the stadium. It changes everything. And yeah, so that's why I became an Arsenal fan, because I thought it was very similar to the University of Miami. I thought, the community, how big they are, the Hurricanes being the community as well. To me, it just felt like a parallel, and it felt right. And going to the comments, let's see. So Cooper said, I'm being totally honest, my wife made me choose between the same two sports. Yeah, NFL is tough to watch, man. But especially being in England. Like, I don't know if you guys know, man, but watching an NFL game here, we're 5 hours ahead. So if the Dolphins play, I watch on the 6th. But if they play any night game, they play that 8 o'clock game, you talking 1 o'clock. I think the Super Bowl started 11:30 here, and I think the halftime show was at like 1:30, man. So, yeah, I ain't staying up to watch it. I ain't gonna lie to you. I ain't staying up to watch it. Sadie in New York, pick up New York. You a Mets fan? You're a Mets or a Yankees fan? Put it in the chat. You're a Mets or a Yankee fan? Because I got a love-hate relationship with New York. Because Florida and New York, we always the Yankees, the Marlins, the Miami Heat, and the New York Knicks. But as long as you're a Jets fan, I think you're all right. Because if you're a Jets fan, then I have to look at you sideways. Because I don't like the Jets, to be honest. That's my Super Bowl, actually, beating the Jets every year, because we don't actually make the Super Bowl. So I've been Cooper said I've been an Arsenal fan 10 years as well. Yeah, and that's the thing too, Cooper. Like, Yankees, all right. I can't deal, but all right. Yeah, that's the thing with being a fan as well, Cooper. Like, coming in 10 years ago, we came in during the banter era. Like my first couple experience, man, was that Bayern 10-2. Like, that was rough. That was rough. Everybody telling me we playing beautiful football, and then I watch Bayern Munich, run rings around Mesut Ozil, and oh man, Mustafi, Koscielny, like, oh yeah. So like, I think for us too, sometimes, and I got a group chat, and sometimes, like, oh, you're being negative because I've never seen us win. I've never seen us win. I know that there's no divine right to win, but I think at the same token, if you have an opportunity to win any trophy, you should take it. Yeah, we don't win the Prem, but we win the domestic cup double. Fine, I'll take that. So, um, I'm an American, but I chose football. I just love the beauty of the game. Same. Because I coach American football here, and I'll probably talk about that in the next Waffle House. But yeah, just when I went to Sevilla, man, when I went to Spain, it was during the time that Sevilla was winning the Europa Leagues under Unai Emery, and they were playing good football, man. Like I watched a match. I watched Sevilla versus Real Madrid, and that was in the Gareth Bale Ronaldo heyday, and yeah, man, like I watched Ronaldo score a hat trick, which was amazing. But Sevilla, they went blow to blow with them. Like they went toe to toe, and I was like, this is beautiful. But I think the most beautiful thing was the fans. Like hearing one side of the stadium sing to another, like hearing the Real Madrid fans get stick off the Sevilla fans. Walking around the stadium, feeling the atmosphere. Like, yeah, you get that in America, but I feel like only at college football games. You get tailgating at NFL games, but I feel like the passion for the game is different. It's it's similar, but it's different. And yeah, man, seeing Arsenal the first time I went to a match, I've been to 10 now. First time I went to a match, seeing that atmosphere. And the thing with Arsenal fans, and everywhere I've gone, and I tell this to people all the time, I've been to Copenhagen, I've been to Bucharest in the supporters bar. Every time I go to an Arsenal supporters bar, doesn't matter what country, what place I'm in, I'm always welcome. If you're a gunner, you're always welcome. It doesn't matter if I speak the language, if I don't speak the language. We will literally talk in hieroglyphics about Arsenal, right? And I think that's the beauty of the sport. Like I go, NFL, I love it, but in the UK they love the NFL as well. But if I go to like Bulgaria, how many people will know about the Dolphins or the Texans? Like not a lot of people. So just football is the world sport, and I think that's the beauty of it. Um, Cooper also said, "I'm glad I caught you. Great stream, bro. Thank you for sticking with me. I haven't even looked at the numbers, but yeah, thank you for sticking with my first live stream. I appreciate everybody who's watching. Um, if you're watching, throw a comment in. But yeah, it's a beautiful sport, and as I said before, club football. I always watch the World Cup. I used to follow Mexico because I don't like U.S. I don't like the U.S. Football team. I never liked them, and I think part of the reason is Bob Bradley. You watch Ronaldinho and Romario and OG Ronaldo, and then you got to watch Bob Bradley and Gus Bradley. Nah. For me, it was like night and day. I couldn't stomach watching the U.S. team, and as respectfully as possible. So now I got a closet full of England jerseys, so I watch England even though they're just as disappointing. And I'll follow Spain because Puerto Rican's Spanish. But first and foremost, as you can see, not that one. You see there. Um, yeah, Puerto Rico comes first. Puerto Rico comes first. I got my Puerto Rico jersey. I wanted Puerto Rico to make the World Cup, and we ended up losing. But yeah, if Puerto Rico were to make the Gold Cup, the World Cup, the Copa America, yeah, I'm head to toe, banderas and everything, bro. So you Yankees fan, yeah, and Giants, good on you. We don't like the Jets, but yeah, the Giants up and down team as well, man, because they had that Super Bowl run. Eli Manning always beat top. Eli Manning always beat Tom Brady in the Super Bowl, but other than that, they don't really do much. Um, I never really like U.S. soccer. Yeah, man, it's hard to watch. I like France because of Drew. Let me tell you, right? Let me tell you about this woman that I married, right? As I said, she was the Arsenal fan first. And we go to do the tour. We're enjoying it. It's great. And she just keeps hovering. Like she just keeps hovering like around the picture, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "Let me take a picture next to Giroux." And then we go to what was it, Piccadilly Circus, right? And at that time, they had the skin tight Arsenal Puma kits, and she's like, "Oh, look what they got up there, Giroux. Let me take another picture." I'm like, "Bro." I honestly, at this point, I honestly think she only chose Arsenal because of Olivier Giroud. And I think she was gutted I think she was probably more gutted that Giroud left than Arsene Wenger leaving, to be fair. But he's around there somewhere. But yeah, Giroud, man, as a player, I'll never forget that scorpion kick, bro. You know what? You know what, too? And I didn't mention it. Alexis Sanchez. The only regret that I have in picking Arsenal is the fact that I never got an Alexis Sanchez kit. I always said, "Oh, he'll be here," because at that time I'm new. Alexis Sanchez is the man, so I'm thinking Alexis Sanchez, Ozil, gonna be here forever. They're gonna retire. And when he went to Manchester United, bro, it hurt. It hurt. Pit of my soul, it hurt when it went to Manchester United. Because I love that guy, bro. Like the things that he did for Chile, the things that he did for Arsenal. Alexis Sanchez was a magician, man. And honestly, right now, if we had in this team right now, if we had Alexis Sanchez on the left wing, we would walk the league. I think we had Alexis Sanchez, Ozil, Declan Rice, and Zubin. Man City wouldn't even have a shout, to be honest, in my opinion. And that could be delusion, but if we had Alexis Sanchez and Mesut Ozil in this team, this current team, in their primes, yeah, bro, walk the league. I'd be showing armpits. But yeah, Sanchez was special, man. Sanchez was special. Ozil was special as well. Do you? Cooper said I have a Sanchez jersey. I'm envious, man. I'm envious. I have, I have. Who do I have? I got Odegaard. I think Odegaard was one of my first ones. I'm gonna. Where'd you find it? Online? We have Vented out here, and I found some decent Arsenal stuff. But the issue is it's kind of hard to tell because like you gotta look at the tags because they'll say made in Thailand. Like I bought the bruised banana kit. I bought that one, and I found out it was made in Thailand. But I only paid like 15-20 pounds for it, so I was like fine. But yeah, man, I'm jealous, man. I would love Alexis Sanchez kit as well. I'm gonna stay for 10 more minutes. All right, it's 10:45. I'm gonna stay for 10 more minutes because I'm pretty sure the missus is gonna look at me crazy if I stay on here. But Cooper, since you're in the chat, right? What's your favorite Arsenal kit? What's the best Arsenal kit you own? Like, and said Tierney was one of my favorites. I like Tierney. And you know what's crazy? Tierney in this team will probably bang as well. Because guess what we need? We need a left back that can actually play left back. Like we bend them. But yeah, Cooper, put your favorite kit that you own in the chat. When it comes to names on the kit, when it comes to like the names on the back of the kit, I'm very iffy on the names of the back of the kit. I don't tend to get them because, as I said, I'm a Miami Dolphins fan, and when I was growing up as a kid, what would end up happening is I would be gassed for a player, and not just the Dolphins. I was also a Marlins fan growing up, and I think what scarred me was the 2003 World Series. I bought a Carlos Delgado jersey, and I was gassed, and I think I had might have been Mike Lowell as well, but. I bought those guys jersey and they sold them all to the Red Sox. That was Willis, Dontrell Willis. They sold them to Red Sox and the White Sox, and I watched them win World Series with our best players. And then the Dolphins used to do the same, man. Like I watched, Jason Taylor go. I watched my favorite player of all time, Zach Thomas, go to the Cowboys, which was gutting for me because my dad's a Cowboys fan, and living with a Cowboys fan, if you don't know British people, living with a Cowboys fan is like living with... What team can I want to say Manchester United. I'll be fair. I want to say Manchester United. in the sense that they were this great team, great dynasty, and yeah, they haven't won anything for a while, but their fans still mouth off like they're top of the world. Um, and that's what being Cowboy fans like. So yeah, but he went to the Cowboys, um, and I think that and Jason Taylor leaving, it gutted me. It gutted me to the point where um, I just I couldn't stomach buying any more kits because every time I would buy a player, they would just leave, and there were players that I thought would stay forever. And it wasn't until, if you actually look in my closet, it wasn't until 22-23 when I started getting names on the back kits again. Um, or maybe the 23, 20, maybe 23, 24. I think the older guard one is the first one that I have. That highlighter green one with the black pattern on it, and the blue numbering. They gassed me. So I was like, I'll get Odegaard in the back, and I got that. Um, and then every year after that, I've pretty much got someone, a new signing, because I've got the Declan Rice kit from when he signed. Um, I got the Saka kit. It was the one from last year. I think they were having a sale and they were like free printing on Saka, and I was like, dang, I got everybody, so let me get Saka because he was a star boy. And then this year they definitely finessed me. I got Victor Gyökeres on the jersey. Um, they were like, "Oh, our new signing." I was like, "Yes," because I want to do this, and I've only done this like 3 times. But no, yeah, I don't. Cooper said I haven't got a name on a jersey in a few years. Yeah, it's tough, man. My favorite kit, the black and gold kit with the cannon hands. Yes, yes, and that kit should have won. We should have definitely won the league in that kit. Imagine that black and gold kit with captain's armpits. Ah, such a waste. Such a waste of a kit. Um, yeah. Big up to Shane Gooner in the chat. Look at that. Yeah, Shane, you were part of the reason I decided to go live to Waffle for an hour. Because you're just genuine and you just kind of do it off the cuff. So I was like, yeah, maybe I can too as well. So I appreciate Shane for supporting me. One of the first people that let me on their channel, the Bruised Banana. That's on Thursdays. So if you guys are watching and you're not sub to Shane, go watch the Bruised Banana as well. And then he does the clean through one-on-one with Views as well. Go follow Views as well. But big up Shane. And Cooper says you can't wear the Odegaard anymore. See what I'm gonna do. What I'm gonna do, right, is I'm just gonna hide it for a little bit, right? I'm definitely gonna hide it. Um, I'm gonna put it in the closet, and it's gonna be one of those where like once he leaves, you just have it in the closet for a little bit, maybe like 2-3 years, and then randomly, like when he's good in like Spain, you pull it out and you're like, oh yeah, I got an Odegaard jersey. But yeah, it's also highlighter green, man. Like, and I live in England, and bright colors aren't a thing, especially because it rains all the time. So yeah, it's not a shirt that I can wear often anyway, without people kind of like double taking. And the crazy thing is, I also have the matching shoes as well. I actually have them underneath my workbench where I'm sitting. Um, but yeah, got the matching shoes as well. So, uh, yeah, it's not something that I can actually wear. Um, yes, Cooper. Tonight is my first live stream. I just pressed the button. So the beginning of this is probably just me like doing this because I didn't know I was actually live. I'm using OBS, so um, yeah, it was kind of slow on the uptake, but yep, first live stream, and my first live stream I've gotten Cooper and Shane in the comments, as well as AJ the mod, Jay the short man, Rick Jar, and Southside. So 6-7 people who've come in, who've left a comment, and that's 6-7 more than I thought were going to be on here when I started the stream. So I appreciate it. Um, but yeah, just me waffling, and eventually, right? So my last bit, and I promise my last bit. I've been saying this is my last bit for like 20 minutes, and I'm pretty sure my wife is glaring through the door right now. But my hope was to, yeah, my hopes was to go live, and speaking to people like Shane and BBK, like it was one of those things where I feel like I was just kind of putting a number, like, oh, I'll get to this many subscribers and then I'll do it. And I think it was just me being nervous and scared, and saying if I do it and nobody watches, um, so it was that fear. But as I said, sometimes I jumped in the deep end to come to the UK when I didn't know anybody, when I didn't know about the culture, when I didn't know about, driving on the other side of the road. Like I didn't know these things. And now I have a driver's license, I have a house, I moved my wife over here. Like sometimes you just gotta jump in head first, foot first, and hope that you land on your feet. And I think that it's all right. 7 people came in. I think we're at 37 views, which is amazing. Um, and yeah, man, I just appreciate people coming in and talking to me. I like to waffle. I love sports. I love football, and I love people bantering. Man, I think it's a great thing. It's one of the things I love about the UK. Um, Shane said you're killing it. Thank you. I'm sweating like a wildebeest. Cooper said congratulations, you're a pro. Seriously, I didn't know. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. This is why, yeah, it looks kind of janky. I don't know what my camera's doing. It's probably tired, but because it keeps going in and out. But yeah, um, Shane's channel, uh, is my work. I shouldn't be listening to it at work, but because of kind of I do admin work and I'm bored out of my mind if it's quiet. And Shane's usually my my morning breakfast, if you will. Like it's yeah, it's what kind of gets me through the day. It's I got a rotation, so it's Shane, it's Shane, then Views, then BBK, and then if I can catch Curtis, I'll catch Curtis. But I like the smaller YouTubers. I love Curtis. I always catch Curtis on playback. Curtis is like my workout thing. I listen to him work out, but I like to catch you know the small community because I think that with football, I think especially with Arsenal, they've forgotten the small fan. Like they've forgotten the heartbeat, and it's so commercial. It's so big. It's so great that you can get lost, and even in the YouTube space, like Curtis is on Air TV now, and I remember when he was still smaller, and you have to grow, you have to get bigger, but it's harder to kind of I think Curtis does a good job of talking to his community. But I like Shane because it's personable. He reads the comments. Fuse is the same. BBK is the same. They're still, in the trenches, if you will. They're still on the ground, and I like that. I like hearing those guys talk about it. And then if you look at those three dudes, and I use those three dudes because that's who I watch, right? You got Shane in Ireland. You got Views in London, and you got BBK in Washington. American guy, right? And they all sit on a panel. They all sit on a bruised banana. You got guys like Normski. You got so many guys who are on the ground who are small and starting. And I say small because they bigger than me. But you have so many guys who are just in it and amongst it, and that's what I like. I like being amongst the people. Like Puerto Rican's very good at being on the ground and being amongst the people, and that's what I like. So that's what I listen to. And when I can catch the bigger channels, I will. I'm not gonna lie to you. Me and BBK gonna do a show. Let me read more comments though. Shane, we all gotta start somewhere. It takes courage to go live. Yes, yeah, you're right. But as I said, I appreciate you coming in and actually talking to me. Um, Cooper says you're likable. Thanks. My wife thinks so too. Um, Shane, you gotta keep it real. BBK is great, and we're all in this together. Great point. And yeah, I like BBK, man. I had a chat. BBK, invited me onto his show um, the other day, and that's the one thing. And as I said, that's the one thing that I always give credit for. Shane was the first person to invite me on a show, and I've got what 300 subscribers. I think he invited me when I had 200 or 150, and yeah, he let me sit and just waffle on the bruised banana, and he didn't have to do that. You know, like they're bigger channels, and I'm appreciative of the opportunity. You know, Fuse gave me an under lens, and he let me waffle on there as well. And then yeah, BBK was like, "Hey man, if you got time, hop on," and he let me do a stream with him as well. And then off stream he spoke to me and said gave me his number and said if I need anything, if I had any questions. And I like people like that, man, because that's the only way you can grow. You got to do the work yourself, but you also sometimes you just need help. Sometimes you need pointers. Sometimes you need to understand you know how to do things and how to navigate certain spaces. And this one I might have messed up, but you gotta crawl before you can walk. So I appreciate it. Ooh, got another comment. The real salute, keep doing your thing, bro. Would have never guessed your first time. Stumbled across your channel just now. Subscribe. I appreciate it. Thank you for subscribing. Um, Big up Curtis as well. Yeah, yeah. Curtis was actually, the first person to convince me to do a channel because I was always in his comments just saying my thoughts. And I was like, man, maybe one day I'll do a channel. And he was like, you should do it. And even him, he gave me a shout out on his channel. He said, I've talked to him. I think I did a member stream because I'd been gifted a membership, and I did a member stream with Curtis. And he was like, yeah, man, you should probably go do it. You talk well, and it's something you can do. And then he said, go subscribe to the channel, and I got a couple subscribers off of Curtis, and yeah, he's the thing I like about Curtis too is that he hasn't sacrificed his soul, and that's the important thing. And I'm not gonna name anybody. If you want to hear about the top Gooners, if you want to hear about the cultists, go check out Shane Gooner in the morning, 10:30, and I promise you, you will see the light. Right, you'll see all of the top Gooner you could ever like, and a little bit of Ashton as well. But yeah. Cooper said, I've been on True Gooner as a guest a few times. I'll be here to support. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Especially New York. Big up New York. Not more than Miami, but big up. But yeah, it's just, like I said, we're a small community, and you can only grow by helping those around you. And I was trying to pick a spot that nobody was doing because Light Views. I work for the NHS, so my hours are kind of up and down as well. So I don't have the time to kind of dedicate a lot of time to it, but I want to YouTube and I want to just say my bit. So it may be on a Tuesday, it may be on a Thursday. It's just depending on when work allows, unfortunately. So I hope you guys keep the notification bell on. But I will try to put it out and schedule it a little bit better. But yeah, it's one of those things that I've got an opportunity to do it, and I want to do it. And I appreciate the help. I appreciate the learning. I appreciate the journey. So yeah, if you guys like it, just stick with me. And if you're in here and it's your first time, thanks for dropping a comment, like, share, subscribe, and yeah, I'll read the last bit of comments and then I will go to sleep. Big up Curtis. Yep, Curtis is one of the best out there. Shane Gooner says, and then Curtis is the GOAT. And like I said, yeah, it takes a lot to be genuine, especially when you've reached a level that Curtis has. He's gone over 100,000 subscribers, and a lot of times with big channels, I met Curtis actually. I met Curtis way before I did the YouTube channel, and I just talked to him. I met him outside the Emirates, and he took a picture of me. He took a picture of my wife, and my wife told him basically you're the reason I can't get sleep because my husband's always playing you. And he laughed, he smiled, he said, yeah. We talked about Arsenal, and it's a lot. It's a lot when you meet your heroes. I won't say Curtis is a hero, but it's a lot when you meet the guys that you watch, either on TV or you listen to on radio. And sometimes you meet those bigger personalities and you realize that they're not nice people. They're not great, and the persona that they show on TV is definitely not who they are in real life. And I can honestly say I didn't get that vibe from Curtis. I think Curtis, who he shows on screen, is who he is. He's genuine. You know, he's honest. He'll say his bit. He'll try to be as fair as possible, and he's just an all around good dude, man. And same thing with BBK. Same thing with Shane. Same thing with Views. You know, it pays to be genuine and it pays to be a good person. So with that, I'm gonna end the stream. I'm gonna go to bed. And thank you all, like I said, so much for sitting here with me, listening to me waffle. And I'm gonna do this once a week. As I said, when time permits, I try to do it once a week. I also want to do another show. Now that I'm into it, but that one's gonna be Arsenal centric, so it's gonna be called the Ammo Check. If you looked at any of my videos, I've actually done videos on the Ammo Check. The plan was always to go live with it, but like I said, I was just nervous, so I'll probably do the Ammo Check. I'll try to fit it in after Arsenal matches. And yeah, man, just like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I will see you guys on the next bit.